a lot of time, you go round in circles. Set yourself small goals as you go so that they're achievable. Sometimes you can just get overwhelmed with the project's too big. Be flexible with your project as well. You might find that, you know, you start off, you might think you're going to start in one angle and then something else interests you, so you go that way. So, where am I? So, out of interest, can people, Dirk, will people ask questions at the end, or what will happen?
I think so. Maybe we can stop at, you know, the halfway mark and open it up for questions.
Okay. So, for instance, if I'm going to start a project, I will do lots and lots of research. So, I've got some folders and things that I have. Now, these are, for instance, what I might do. Johnny might just, we might go, I might move up to the back and stand up there and talk about some things in a minute. But, for instance, I've always been interested in the Farm Security Association work, administration, sorry, Farm FSA, which was done in the 30s, late 20s, 30s in America, and some of the great, beautiful agricultural images have been made in the countryside. You know, famous photographers have been made famous by that. Dorothy Lane, Arthur Rothstein, Walker Evans, so many fantastic photographers. But basically, what I will do is I'll go through, and these, I'll just download some notes. So this is chronology of the Farm Security Administration, so I'll read about that. And I read as much as I can and keep notes, and then I think I would like to then transfer that idea to something that's achievable for me in Australia. So I'm looking at, if this was a project I really wanted to do, but I haven't really started to do it. And I will use my contacts that I already have. For instance, I've photographed, some people may call him Crazy Man, Bob Catter, the politician, and he is with Barnaby Joyce up in Queensland, northern Queensland, and there's just some fantastic old farming stations and things, and I just think that would be still relatively. I would like to look for more manual, as if there are any more manual farms around if I was going to shoot it. And then as I think about it, then obviously one of the big problems is rural suicide. So I'd also think if I got on that project, I would probably get exposed to farmers and farmers' wives, farmers' wives who maybe have lost their husbands to suicide. And I will also, before I have even picked up a camera, I'll think about where can it get published? What will I do with it? Would it be, can I get some backing and sponsorship for it? Could I go to someone like Elders or even Westpac, because they have a big agri-business, or other banks that have an agri-business, and do a deal where they can help sponsor the project and I give them access to the material. And even if you're an unknown photographer, you can still aspire to do that, because just they're desperate for good content and honest content. And I also think people will love to see globally, I guarantee you, get some placements in some overseas magazines, especially if you can touch on and do some, get some incredible access and trust with people regarding regarding rural suicide. I also then went from, when I started in the country, I go there's a huge amount of farms being bought up by overseas countries, USA, Canada, the Swiss, the Chinese, and would it be interesting to mix that in? Probably a little boring and a little dry and maybe a little too political. Also, when I think about doing a rural shoot, I think about finding small towns where the population is just plummeting. I'm just looking here, these were figures from probably 2013, 14. Shrinking towns, growing towns was your town, Albury, was growing at 15, 16%. Wagga was then 18%, Tamworth was growing, Armidale was growing. The shrinking towns, towns like Broken Hill, Burke, Moree and Burke were shrinking at over 20%. And I just think that's absolutely fascinating. I also must have been on that TV show Farmer Wants a Wife, but I also have always loved the Country Women's Association and how they help. But basically, going back to it, I will do as much research as I can. I'll think where I can place that, and sometimes it doesn't matter if I can't place it. I just really want to do it, and I'll make some fantastic images which I can use in my portfolio, or just keep me totally inspired. Projects can be of any length. I was just thinking, my dad, I'd like to do, I've got so much fantastic memorabilia from when my dad and mum passed away. I would like, my dad came to Australia as an immigrant, and I'd really like to do his story as a little book and get it published, just in a small format book, which I showed you the other day, some of those books from Oxford Mini Press. But for instance, I've got my dad's shoes. He was just a little man from Vienna in Austria. I've got, you know, I'll go over to this camera. This one's meant so autofocus, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, is it manual exposure?
No, you'll be right.
So yeah, my dad's passport, which is just, I love all this ephemera stuff. And then I will photograph all those and write stories. And then my dad also, I don't know whether I'm wide or tight here.
No, you're good.
You can see. My dad also had always collected, whichever country he went to, the newspaper bag. So I found this old fantastic red suitcase, which is as dusty as hell, in council cleanup. And then I've just used it, slightly inspired by the migrants who were in the, is it Bogabilla?
Bonegilla.
What's Bogadilla?
Bonegilla. Bonegilla.
Bonegilla. And so, you know, I photographed that, and I would have quite a story. I've got all these diaries. I've got also, you know, I've kept some water. My mother's uncle's little suitcase, he was worked with the railways, and I've got lots of images and lots of stories. So basically, I'll just make little books that, can you see okay? I'll make little books which preserve the memories, and I might only make a dozen of each one, and they're not for really anyone else except for family, so that would be fantastic. Yeah, what else? Just here I've got, for instance, my dad's little knee knocker, who was a doctor. He came here, couldn't speak English, and then learned to be a doctor. And, you know, I'd just really like to make that story. There is so much fantastic material. You can hear a hum, can't you? no harm. So much fantastic material. So I would probably, for instance, I might put these shoes on old floor, you know, I don't know, Johnny can then I might just shoot them just so simply on just a box with just really nice light. And it doesn't mean anything to anyone else but me, you know, because they're handmade, but they're just great history. And, you know, I might add to it, I'll be back. My dad had a wonderful magnifying glass that sat on his desk, you know, and oh, there's just so many things. He was a mad soccer fan, so I've got thousands of soccer programs. Go to this camera for a second. Thousands of soccer programs. So I guess for me, if I was going to do a project with my dad, not with my dad, of my dad, I actually will do it by making a collection of small, probably shadow boxes, because there's quite a bit of material to put in those. I would think, who would be interested in my dad? Maybe Sydney Uni, because he was on the Senate there, and he was not a big shot, but he was a great cardiologist, blah, blah, blah. So I would talk to them, I would talk to North Shore Heart Foundation, because he was a heart specialist. And I might go, okay, I'd like to do 6 shadow boxes. So I might do 2 from his youth, you know, before he left Austria. And then I might do 2 of those might be from his uni days, and then 2 of those might be, or one of those might be, or 2 from his work days, and then I don't know whether it would be, I have to think how respectful or disrespectful it would be of his dying days, because I pretty well documented my dad the last 15 years of his life, because he let me do it then, because he really didn't know I was doing it, because of his Alzheimer's, but I photographed him a hell of a lot. So whether I do 5, 6 shadow boxes, and they might be just like this size, and I use glue guns, which aren't particularly archival, but I'm sure there's better ways to attach things. I'd also have some, I have his cardiogram machine, which was, I think, the first one in Australia in 1950 when he graduated, and he bought it from overseas. I've got that downstairs, this massive heavy box. That would look fantastic just sitting on a plinth and all the wires hanging off it. The same, I'd love that suitcase just sitting on a plinth with a little story as to why it's got, how he collected all the newspaper headings. And I would probably do, you know, also a series of photographs, maybe only 8 photographs. Oh no, probably more, probably 12 photographs. But what I'm pointing out is I'd start to plan how I'd like to see it, the whole thing look. And for me, the importance of that is 1, acknowledging my dad's story, which I think is a great story. 2, preserving history. And 3, once I've collated all the important things, I can also then get rid of a lot of the less important things. And it's just lovely as a memory too, and it's a nice indulgent time to reflect on my dad and think good things about him, blah, blah, blah. Okay, other projects I might be thinking about doing. Seems on our family theme. My mother collected dolls from all over the world for years. Whenever they'd go overseas or someone would come from overseas, they'd often bring her a doll, and she used to have a glass cabinet with lots of these dolls she'd change often. And I think it would be, some of the dolls are from the 40s, and some of them are quite politically incorrect, some of them are quite humorous, some of them are pretty regular, which I probably wouldn't photograph, but they mean a lot to me because I used to see them all the time in this cabinet, and I just see these pretty clinical pictures. They'd all be shot on white, they'd all be pretty clinically shot, so you can see every detail. I will shoot those on a really high megapixel camera. I would probably, if I could borrow a 100 megapixel Hasselblad and shoot them on so that I could make them massive big prints, because I think the dolls, all the chips in their faces and just the detail would look fantastic, and it'd be just also a little confronting to have them totally out of scale. And I would also have a story next to them, because my mum and dad were also, I guess where I get it from, great diarists. And I've started to shoot some of those dolls, and then I just stopped, got distracted or whatever. But when I start shooting, I build a folder, put all the, I'm doing that on digital, so put all those raw files in there, open up a Lightroom catalogue, make a catalogue in the name, Mum's Doll Collection Project, so I can go back to it. I also, once I decide how I'm going to light it, the dolls, I shoot them all pretty much the same. I will do an overall shot of the setup, so I can, if I go back to it a year later, I know where my lights were, and got the exposure recorded, and if I am shooting on a big camera, I'll be tethered, and it'll come straight into that Lightroom catalogue, so that I can then, or it will come into a Capture One catalogue if that's your program, but it'll come into the tethering program, and then I can just check, does it look how it did when I did it 6 months ago, blah, blah. But yeah, I don't know where that would end up, but I just know that there are some fantastic stories and some fantastic little dolls. And that's an easy project to do because it's accessible. Just quickly going back to my dad, not all projects obviously you have to shoot all the pictures, I've got photo albums and things that were from my dad's days, and I would shoot some of these pages because that's the joy. You don't have to go shoot everything, every project. Then there are other projects that you will go and photograph a lot. I'm thinking here behind me on this wall, maybe if Johnny opens up, hands up a bit, whatever, we can go onto this wall. You got enough light? Yeah. Okay. So I think I did a project in America, gosh, in the early 90s. I was living in America for about a year and a half, bit over, and I was fascinated by the number of camps, summer camps that people went to. Sorry. I was fascinated by the number of summer camps that people went to, and decided I'd see what sort of quirky ones there were. And these two photos here, they're a little bit washed out, but they're shot on the Hasselblad. You can always tell Hasselblad film camera because there's two little triangular notches on the film relay. And I always shoot everything full frame and print it full frame, probably because I grew up with the Cartier-Bresson attitude that you shouldn't crop, which is dumb, really. But I like having the whole picture. So, for instance, these ones were called Camp Shane, and it was a little Jewish fat camp. It was a fat camp for Jewish kids. And I was 93 in New York. And I kept diaries. So how that started was I didn't Google, because there was no Google then. I made a phone call to the Camp America and spoke to them and went in and saw them, showed them some photos, and they said, oh, there's up in the Catskills, which is an area just north of New York, there was this place called Camp Shane, which was a Jewish fat camp, which is a terrible thing to say, but that's what it was. And had lots of kids that got, rich people seem to dump their children in Christmas, over summer 6-week break while they go overseas and the kids are doing some fitness exercise camp. Just from memory, the average weight loss at that camp was something like 50 pounds over the 6-week period. And you could tell the kids weren't happy, the conditions were shit ass. But anyway, so I realised there was this camp. I rang and spoke to the people and said I'd like to do a project. I'd like to do a story on it for Australia because a lot of Australian people worked at camps in America. And that was sort of my half introduction through. The real reason was I wanted to go and see what it was like. I've never been to one. And I think unless you're a nosy person, you'll struggle to be, I guess, interested in people-related projects, and you might be interested in more things like urban decay. But anyway, going back to that camp, I just rang and said I'd love to spend a few days coming and photographing. Is that okay? So I got a hire car, drove up to the closest town was Liberty in the Catskills, and I stayed in a hotel there, motel, not hotel, that's for sure. Pretty shitty motel for about, I think it was 4 or 5 days, 4 or 5 nights, and I photographed there, yeah, about 5 days. And then I came back where we were living in New York. I just went by myself, and I remember I was shooting at that time. I had my Hasselblad, and I also had my Nikon F3s. For me, I love these days if I'm going to do a project. I'll stay with that camp for a second. So once I got there, people just let me do whatever I wanted, and I'd wander around. I made some friends with some of the instructor people, gained some trust that I'm not there to stitch anyone up. The kids were desperate to tell me that the food was terrible, and that their beds were uncomfortable, and they had to run all the time, and the parents didn't love them, blah, blah. So I caught the last week of the camp. It was a 6-week camp, so I caught them theoretically at their skinniest. And I remember the last day, which was striking, was these limos turned up and drivers got out and these kids got in the back seat with their shitty camp gear and drove off. And it was outrageously expensive. Yeah, that was fascinating. Some of the things I did while I was on the camp was ask the kids to write down their feelings. Would they feel comfortable to do that? Some of the stories. There was some camp romance, and in those camp romance, there was a really big, large girl from Palestine, Texas, who was, I think, a non-Jewish girl. She fell in love with a Jewish boy, and he was horrified that his mother had found out. But they gave me a copy of this love letter that they wrote to each other, that she wrote to him, and I've still got it. And just the power of that with the photographs, i.e. all the extra things that you can collect and keep, you know, I sound like a hoarder, but I'm a tidy hoarder and organised hoarder. I have, you know, I will still have the motel receipts from Liberty. I'll still have, as I say, all the notes I've taken. Hopefully I've still got all the film and files, film that I shot. And I haven't finished it, but it's one of those things that I will finish. And that's the beauty of projects, you can keep coming back. And for me, being a busy commercial professional photographer, I got distracted many times and had to pull up projects and then go straight on to work-related things. But just on another point, I love, I don't know if I'm on this one, I'm on this one. Excellent. So, I want to make a suggestion to those guys and girls, people out there who, I want to make a suggestion that when you do a project, consider doing that project instead of on digital. Consider buying yourself a film analog camera. There's so many cheapies out there. Consider buying yourself, splashing out and getting yourself a 120 film camera. A 120 film camera. And the reason I say to do that is because it slows you down. Every roll of film is going to cost you a little bit of bucks, but not a hell of a lot. You've got 12, if you're shooting 6.6, you've got 12 on a roll. You're more calculated. You can go into that project with your digital camera and look and work and find angles. But once you do, and obviously shoot files, but once you do, then stop. We might just shut the door for a second. Sure. It's just my excited neighbours. I've got the Italian mafia behind. Yeah, you can use a digital camera like a Polaroid camera where you walk around, shoot images, decide exactly what you want to see, and then pull out the film camera, and from there start shooting. My weapon of choice is the simple Hasselblad because it's just delightful. I'm sure I showed you last week. It's over there in a bag. I'll just grab it quickly. But my simple project kit is pretty simple. Apart from the tripod, I'm going to come back onto number 2. That's okay with you?
Mm-hmm.
So, the light's coming up a bit here. Does it affect you when I put this down? Is that okay?
Fine. Maybe in the back one too.
That shouldn't be bad.
That's okay.
That's okay.
It's all right.
Cool. So, if I'm going to go to a project, now, my kit is so simple. I'm loving shooting on film because I feel comfortable on film, but it also slows me down. I've got one simple 500 Hasselblad. I have one body. There's nothing to go wrong with it. It's just a box. That's it. Lens, beautiful lens. I love a 60mm lens, which is about the equivalent of 40mm on 35 or something like that. And just the back, and I've got in here HP5 at the moment. I like the HP5 because I can rate it from anywhere from 200 up to 3200. I can pull it back to stop if I need to, or I can push it up. And it makes beautiful, beautiful, beautiful prints. So that's really all I've got. So if I'm out shooting, I'm here, and that's it. I can talk to people, I can talk to you while I'm talking to you. I'll take the back off because I don't want to burn any film because it's loaded. I can just shoot. It's not the brightest camera, but I can also be in a restaurant, lock the mirror up or somewhere quiet and just see a nice photo, I won't have my strap on. That sounds bad, strap on. I won't have my camera strap on. And then I can just shoot. I can lock the mirror up, and then when I shoot, it's relatively quiet. And then I can cough, and then reload or whatever. And people, you do that as you shoot. But I also find that this camera, I can see beautifully what's going on. I can see the final picture. And it's also just nice and slowish to use. It's not autofocus, you're not burning 1,000 frames. I'm just looking here at the shoes. You know, if I had nicer light here, okay, over. Just here, so it's beautiful, still light as I speak. You know? And I might want to have this because it throws nice light. I don't know whether you can see up on there. Can you see on the table now? But that, I'm using a magnifying glass, and then I'd set that up in a clamp or something. And then I might just literally shoot and frame from above. Beautiful picture. And then I might just, yeah, and perfect. But I mean, you know, that could be the first frame start to this project, blah, blah, blah. But I love the idea of shooting on film. I'm just going to go back here for a second. But what that also means is I might carry with me a little Sony like this. Just a little Sony. So I'll move this chair over. I've wrecked everything, I've moved everything now. I'm getting cursed, which is fine. It's not all digital, so I might just use this at first just to take some quiet pictures of what's going on. And yeah, it's easy to shoot digital, but I much prefer to then take my time, have a look, and really get something of value, because once it's on film, it's there forever. Digital's not real, it's just a whole bunch of zeros and ones film. So yeah, I'd carry that camera, I'd carry this little camera, and I'd carry a couple of spare batteries, light meter, which you don't really, well you do need. I don't need, because I've done it for so many years. And I've got film. I've got some Fuji. There was a bit of yellow bad stuff there. It's bad shit, that yellow stuff. And that's it, you know. You can, if you want to shoot. And I like 120 because I think it prints so much better. There's nothing like doing a beautiful print out of 120. It also scans fantastically. You can do, you know, shoot on a 35mm camera, but I love that. And I also will use, I have another project which I'd like to do. I'm just going to get this book. I also was thinking about other projects, because in the last, every day something new happens. Every day something new happens, and for instance, a friend of mine had a breakup with his partner 10 years ago, and he's struggling to get over it still. Killer. And so then I start thinking about a project alone in the city. You know, I mean, it's cheesy, and that's not what I would call it, but that's the vibe, is that you can be in a city of 5 million odd people, Sydney, and absolutely feel totally alone. I saw another friend the other day who's got a child who's struggling with a mental health issue, and he and his wife are in Melbourne, and diagnosed at 18 months, and now she's 24, and it's a great story that's worth recording. The whole skill is about how you present it to the person for them to allow you the access. My wife's story, she came, well, actually I won't talk about my wife's story, it's a bit boring. Yeah, I was thinking about, there's literally a project on, I was thinking about old mates that I've had and their histories, i.e. when I lived in London, I photographed a friend, a very close friend, Dave Brooker. He was a professional bicycle thief. And I did some great photos of him. I had so much written down info about him. So, for instance, I would have a big print of Dave, and then I would have his story. It's so important to go deeper than just taking the photo. So much more weight is added to the photo with a good story, you know. I've talked about my mum and dad's story. I have a great fascination with mental health because it's growing so fast. People aren't communicating. People need to talk more. They need to talk about it more, expose it more. I was thinking mental health is an area where you will find a lot of potential for grants because people are keen. I'll just keep that under kill, a little bit of black there. Answer. You will get some government help, I reckon, if you're interested in mental health in a genuine way and come up with a project which can highlight and help people. We'll often get help from pharmaceutical companies too. I've got a note here, there's you know, there's projects on so many things. I've got here male anger and internal conflict. There is so much. And for me, it's all about the emotion. It's all about a story for me. In a way, the photography is almost secondary. And I'm just thinking here, also, how can we go past nursing homes? How can we go past the many-sided stories of nursing homes? You know, some people can see them as dumping grounds. You know, I'm sure there's been an old person that sits there going, but you said you care for me. Underneath all that dementia, who knows? How people deal with the death in the family. I think I have not a fascination, but an interest in how people deal with death in many cultures. Just on an opposite to the story of nursing homes, where you might consider them, some people consider them a dumping ground. There's also, I've met some of the most amazing Nepalese people there who look after our parents when they're too frail. You know, they wash them, they feed them, they entertain them, they dress them, they bathe them, they love them. Yeah, and I just think that some of these migrant people are amazing for what they do. Amazing. And I just think that would be the story I'd like to read about in a Good Weekend or in a weekend magazine. I'm also another project which is I was just mentioning briefly which is one which I will start now. So I'm just here. Is trades, the documentation of trades, i.e. tradesmen, for instance, and that is an inspiration. It was done, August Sander, a fantastic, one of the early portrait photographers from the 30s. He, am I here? Am I there? I'm here. From the 1930s, he did, M20s, he photographed all sorts of people from plasterers to farmers to everything. And then very, pretty simple, a normal lens with usually on a background or against a stone wall, something fairly neutral. Full length, really proud, quite a neutral expression. And then also Irving Penn did the same thing. He did a series on trades, which is, I think, also part of his Laws in a Small Room, which is where he had a backdrop, which the backdrop is on exhibition. Where he has his big retrospective exhibition, they still have his backdrop on. Funny reading that many people thought it was black and white, but it's actually a brown, funny background. Anyway, Irving Penn in the 50s and 60s shot a lot of
I think we've lost your volume there, Tim. Yeah, no, we've lost the audio there.
How's that?
That's better. I think so, yep. No, we've lost it again.
How's that?
I can hear you, John. I can't really hear you, Tim.
Oh, right. Okay. Hang on. How's that?
I can't hear Tim.
Ah. Lost the battery. Hang on. Let's have a little battery break. Battery break. We're good. Testing 1, 2, 3. We on? Testing 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, Tim's pretty quiet.
1, 2, 3. Do you want to bring this one in closer? Like that. Testing 1, 2, 3. Is that any better?
That's better, yep.
Is that good enough or not really?
Yeah, I think that's okay.
You want to try and turn it up a little more? It is.
I will.
You will. Just doing a little bit of adjustment.
How's that, Dirk?
See, normally we could say we'll just go to a commercial break.
That's
Is that any better?
yeah, you might, yep, go for it.
All good?
Yeah, speak, Tim.
Oh, sorry. Okay, so where were we at? Okay, talking about the nursing homes, and we had something in the positive side, and then also the carers, yeah. Not the carers, the workers, the trades. And, oh, here we go, trades, August standard 1926. And what inspired me is the time my mum and dad were born. Irving Penn also did the trades, and it's the homage to man and woman who work in the industrial world. Nobody can see but this is going to be the story things. And now that project, I would probably shoot that on my 10 by 8 camera. Of course, I only need to shoot 2 to 4 sheets per person, I reckon. And I would also shoot that with a slightly wide lens. I like that lens. Probably more 40mm. I don't go too wide. And I would also put that on bought myself a fantastic reservoir Mark II, and I'm loving the pancake 45mm, which is 35mm. And I also have a 65 I'm testing at the moment, which is the 50mm. And I'm finding that the files I'm getting out of that are awesome. So, as not even saying, I would like to see it on both, because I would literally shoot the 10A in black and white, which would be more of a direct homage or inspiration from moving in the standard, but I would also like to take a more modern take and shoot it in colour. And I really trust that X1D to do as good a job as the 10A. Colour would be amazing. So I'm going to be pretty well starting on that. I also trying the mix. I bought myself some policy molder oil, which I use started with sheets of that. I shoot 4 sheets per subject. That's how I look at it. And then I look at it with a 4x5 review as well as a 4x5. So it's
Excuse me, Tim. We might just stop for a minute. Your audio's dropping out again. We might have an intermission for 5 minutes and see if we can change the batteries. Okay, we'll just have a break for 5 minutes, guys, if you want to make a cuppa or whatever, and we'll come back in a couple of minutes. Sorry about that.
No.
I've got my, otherwise that big round microphone just there.
Frustrating bastard. Let's see.
We can still hear you, Tim.
Oh, sorry. Sorry, people. I didn't say the B word. I'm going to make you coffee.
Righto.
Anyway, why don't we get some questions, because I can hear you.
Yeah, I reckon I might open it up and everyone.
Oh, okay, sorry, it's not open. It's only to you. Hang on there. Hang in there, buddy. Wait till Johnny gives you the ATEM. He's key. Oh, look, whose bread is this? This must be John's bread. Mate, you've got to get up here to your bread loaf. What do you want, buddy? I've got batteries and everything. I don't think it's batteries. What do you think it might be? Buffer? No. Cache? battery in the mixer.
How's that?
Do you want me to put that lab mic back on?
Yep. How's that, Dirk?
Hey, Dirk. Hang on, Dirk. Testing, Dirk. Gosh, my wife was beautiful. Oh my God. Oh my God. She must have been blind when she met me. Seriously.
Can you hear him, Dirk?
Yeah, that's perfect, mate.
Yeah, good. We're back on board. How's that?
So did you go mainline out?
Yeah, it's running straight to the cameras now.
And how is that out of interest? Is it seem the same?
It's actually good, the sound.
Is it better even?
Yeah.
Oh, whatever. Okay. So we're back in. We're almost ready for some questions.
Yeah, I think so.
Where's focus? That's good. Focus is important. Johnny's way ahead of us. You need to back that off.
So what we might do is we're going to have some questions. If anyone's got a question for Tim, please fire away. The plan. Yeah, I think, Tim, what do you think?
First of all, sorry that the audio dropped out. We think that it might be the North Koreans. We're not sure. So we'll just see. Oh, wow. There's the corona. So, has anyone got any questions? More questions?
If you want to ask a question, just unmute yourself.
Do I ask a question? Yes, of course. Okay, first of all, I've got no idea how many people are out there, but has anybody got or starting a project or want to talk about, has anyone done projects before out there?
Yes, I have.
Yes. Hello?
Michael Griffin.
Michael Griffin. Hello, Michael Griffin.
G'day, John. I'd like to know who that bloke was who was knocking off those bicycles back in London, because I was there and my bike got nicked in the 80s.
Whereabouts?
At Battersea Park?
We didn't work that area.
All right.
It was an old London boy. And I can tell you, Michael
Okay.
wasn't.
Yeah. So my question is to do with your dad's. You were I think you were going to do a book, were you?
Yeah, I would make. I would do a book and a self-published book, and I would just do I wouldn't go like a blurred book. I'd probably go a better one. The ones that I like is a company in London called Hoxton Mini Press.
Can you say that again? Sorry.
Hoxton, Hoxton, Mini Press. I think it's Mini Press. Let me just check in the front of the book. I hate to give you a dud steer. Yes, that's it. Yeah. So that's not autofocus. This is autofocus.
You want to go to camera 2? We're switching over.
Michael, so this company, Hoxton Mini Press, they make lots of these great little books. This is London Underground, 1970 to 1980, by a great English photographer, Mike Goldwater, that did lots of documentary work with another guy, started up a network agency there, called Impact. I think it's Impact. But when I do a little book for my dad, it would be a lot smaller. But I'm lucky in my studio, I possibly also do I would also possibly have an exhibition even here or something. But Sorry, I'm talking and not listening.
And John, the layout. I've just completed a book using Blurb.
Yes.
And with a whole lot of images, not on a Hasselblad, so they're not square, they're rectangular, but I didn't want to use the templates that they had.
Yeah.
So what I found difficult was setting up templates that essentially the images would sort of fit into. And I didn't want to crop them if that was at all possible. How are you going? Are you shooting yours on Hasselblad, so it's a square image that's?
I will mix it up, and I will probably use a program like InDesign. I will probably use the Adobe InDesign and make my own templates. I would make my own page sizes, and then
Right.
make each one individual, because I find it incredibly frustrating, those word templates as well. And even say, yeah, as you say, you're locked in on a window size, so often you have to make a photograph quite small and then height or it's not very difficult that InDesign to do those pages. The other one, page layout and do it too. So I've made them, I've made those as a PDF of designing in Lightroom using some of the templates as well, which I've got to make size myself. But yeah, that is one of the most difficult parts of doing all the layout, especially when you don't have the spending fortune.
Excuse me, Tim. Sorry, we're losing the audio again, Mark.
Oh, really? It's bandwidth. Yeah.
Losing the audio again, John.
Oh, yeah.
So I don't understand why that this one is the one I'm using.
Yeah, that's going on.
So just pull this one.
Yeah.
So lose that
A little test.
Hello? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Hello?
Yeah, I think it's with that.
Hello? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Yeah, look, Tim's very quiet, but I can hear John.
So I've got one mic, 2 mics on. You've got
Yeah, let me check.
the computer mics are on stuff. John's the furthest away from the mics.
How's that?
It's heaps better.
But is it heaps better on John away from the mics or on maybe next to the mics?
That's great.
Hello? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Yep, that's perfect, Tim.
Zoom keeps feeding us into the laptop.
I knew it.
Yeah.
Yeah, Zoom keeps jumping us to the laptop mic.
There you go.
Or a button accidentally gets pressed. But going back, it's definitely the layout is the key thing. I mean, realistically, if you've got a friend to work with who is a designer, it makes such a difference. I just grabbed this one piece of this one print, which is the start of a book that I was looking at doing. Where are we? Which camera's good? This one. So I was thinking This is what a friend was showing me a while ago. He said, "I'll just do this, just sign, really simple and quite raw." My dad always says he didn't hit me enough as a child, which is a true quote. And there's a photo I shot of Johnny Cash. Other things I've written over the top about my feelings and things, and just different ways of laying stuff out, and just really good practice. That was the Africana in South Africa. I went out with the AWB on a fishing trip for an Australian magazine, and they are like the Sam and the neo-Nazis. But again, a lot of the access I get is just having the balls to pick up the phone and just ringing people. You'd be surprised at what access you can get by just picking up the phone. But you're going back to the layout, I agree. It's bloody tricky, but these, we just hit in literally 5 minutes on InDesign where you can flow things, blah, blah. I wish I could be more helpful for you in the blurb. I'll do some good research and stuff about it between now and next week anyway. But any questions as well? Anyone got any ideas that they'd love to document, that they're desperate to do? Dirk, what about you? Have you got any oh no, the audio is echoing but better than before. Jesus. So, okay, it's I've got to be honest, I'd love some questions. It's really difficult just to feel like a puppet sitting here without any two-way conversation. It'd be great.
Fiona, did you
Yeah, hi Tim, I'm Fiona. I work at a school in I work at a school in Wodonga. At the moment, we're in the midst of all a remote learning scenario, and we've been in the scenario since the week before the Victorian school holidays. So yes. Right now we've got some kids that returned to school and staff on Monday, Tuesday this last week, and yes. We've still got some kids who are sitting at home doing remote learning with parents or grandparents helping them or on their own, and yes. We've got some who are essential workers children at school doing the remote learning program in a supervised scenario on laptops. So it's a story basically that I wanted to try and well, initially I was thinking I wanted to try and help some of our new migrant children to settle into school, and also to capture the kids who are disconnecting from the education system, to sort of help them understand their perspective and their emotions. I'm a psychologist, so I'm in the wellbeing team, and I was going to be able to help them with, I suppose, some of their emotional stuff, but help them use photography to capture that. And then when we were thrown into the midst of this remote learning, I wanted to be able to capture that right now, and before people forget really what it was like, because it's, for some people it's been a cruisy sit at home, getting bored, you know, it's been really, really nice to be able to spend the time at home. Other people have lost jobs and are worried about how to pay for things. Other people have been trying to, you know, school their children at home, and it's really pushing them to the edge of violence. We've had children return to school who have been exposed to domestic violence and physical violence and things like that because parents are being pushed too far.
Wow.
Yeah, so I spoke to Dirk yesterday. I've been thinking about it for some time, but I've sort of, like you said, been a bit flexible, and my idea has changed a little bit, so that I want to try and capture this.
It's so worthwhile doing and that is crucial. It's got so many good things going for it, as you say, for the integration and help and the acceptance of the migrants in the community and from domestic violence, domestic violence and people losing their jobs and just so much pressure, and yet, as you say, polarised on the other side are those people who can see it as more of we've got a bit of a holiday, you know. But, wow, I mean,
the audio's gone.
It's the audio again, Tim.
coming back, hang in there. Fiona?
Yes, yep.
How long have you been teaching there?
I'm not a teacher, I'm a psychologist, so I'm in the
on the wellness team. Yeah.
So I've been there since January last year. So
A whole year of trust built up.
Yeah, it's I'm there 3 days a week, and the kids know me. I'm in amongst their classrooms, and I'm out in the courtyard at lunchtime, and there's 950 kids at school, but if between 110 and 150 per age group, like per year level. So I was talking to Dirk yesterday. I think what we would do is pick out some from every year level and try and tackle a cross-range age group. And I reckon you might try and pick out some that I know that have been really struggling and disconnecting from school even before the remote learning, and then throw that on top. And some that are migrant children that are just starting to get engaged in the school system and not really liking it, and it's so different to what they've come from and all of those experiences.
Which is the most prevalent migrant group now?
African community has basically become our bigger population. We've got some Indian families as well moving in.
Sudanese, Africans?
Yes. Yeah, Nigerian and Sudanese and a range of people. Congo.
Once you're in with the family, you're in with the family for life, I reckon that's an awesome project, and as you're thinking of, the moment you start saying it and you're picking out some people, are you going to empower them with a camera possibly? Are you going, as well as documenting them too?
I think what we would try and do, we're in a government school, so funding is exceptionally tight. What we would try and do is maybe do a model like Dirk was doing with the Springdale Heights kids over in Albury, and sort of try and give them a camera that they can play with. But I was also saying to Dirk, we need to act fast to try and capture the memories while the kids are coming back and in amongst all of the turmoil of change. But even if we try and do some of that emotional work and the brainstorming and the reflection work before we hand them a camera, so they've got a bit more of an idea before they actually just shoot the ground, with their whole lot of their film, and they just shoot, whatever comes to them for that moment. So if we do some of that work in the next couple of weeks while they're still fresh with all of these experiences, then we'll at least have that captured on paper before they forget those things. And then they can capture it,
as you're talking, my mind goes straight to that front room at Turk's Head, where you've got a big, there's a big table set out, and there's a big chunky felt pen, and it's just, you just want to have paper and then with a big black pen just writing, drawing, doodling what they feel, as well as giving them the camera. I just think that's a golden opportunity. And apart from the trust that you will it's such an ongoing thing in a way too. The trust, if you can, and I'm sure you can, wrong word, but crack the African community to trust you, it would be so wonderful to document it, because you're basically travelling internationally in your own town too. It's just, delightful. And when I think of from how fabulous their traditional foods, traditional dress, traditional stories, and then to see those young African boys who are one day going to be wearing, the Aussie footy jersey or whatever. It's just, I think it's a great thing to document, and so many projects, it's just start and it'll just escalate. I reckon you're on a cracker there, Fiona. I really do. And as you know, the hardest thing is part of the Department of Education being so protective, but with your background and trust, I think it's just got too many pluses not to do.
Yeah, well, it just I suppose I'm there. I actually am employed by the school, so I'm in the education department. I'm there as my only job. So I'm there already in amongst all the kids, and we have EAL workers. So there's English as alternative language workers who I work in combination with, and we've got the art teacher who I could work in combination with, and it's a combo effort. It would be great.
And then I automatically also then, when I think of just setting up a camera with a very wide lens in the doorway of their bedroom, just them in their environment too. I don't know, who knows? Because sometimes if you don't want a million photos of the sky or of whatever, and you don't want to also steer people in what to do, but you want them once, as you say, you're thinking already about it by engaging them in the wordy, thoughtful process before actually playing with the camera. And I reckon you've got a great idea there, Fiona. I do.
Can I say something?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Fiona, this sounds like a great project. I don't know how far advanced you are, but I'm thinking straight away about disposable cameras. I've heard of lots of projects similar to this where the children were given those really cheap, it's a film in a little box with a lens, and you give them, and they can take them home. They can take lots of pictures, give them, half an hour sort of bit of a rundown on how to use it, and then let them go and take the pictures for you. I know you're saying that money is a difficulty. Dirk will probably be up on this, and certainly you, John, probably as to how much those disposable cameras are and who does them, whether it's Ilford or Kodak.
The only minus is that absolute appalling quality. That's the minus of those cameras. But are they all digital or are they film?
We're planning on using disposable cameras for this one, film cameras, same as we did with the Springdale Heights project.
Did you think that the quality of image really suffered because of that, or not really?
Not really, Tim. They're actually quite good. I was surprised.
Good. Okay, I'll take it back. I didn't realise. And did you just scan those for them?
We actually got them processed at Camera House.
Yeah. And printed?
They developed the film, and then I used those digital files to print out A2 on nice Ilford paper.
Oh, they scan them when they process them?
Yeah,
gotcha.
Yeah, so we had digital files, and I just printed them.
And do you get them to pick, or do you pick?
Well, there was 36 images on each camera, so we just picked out a few from each person and printed them out. And talking with Fiona, we're probably going to do a similar thing here. I think last time on the Springdale Heights project, we did A2 size prints, but we're talking about 50 kids or more. for this one, so we might have to print a bit smaller. We'll just have to see. And we're going to exhibit them at Turkcity.
It'll be great to do a little book too, because there's got to be 50 grandmas out there that would want a copy of it, but then again, it might be too expensive. And
that's probably a great idea, Tim.
who knows?
You can always get people to pay up front if they know that it's going to have their kids' work in it, and it's something that they want to have. You can sort of, I suppose, get that.
For sure. For sure. For sure. Wow. So, anyone else got anywhere that they're up to or would like to? Feels like Sunday confession. I'll tell you, it's sunny here. Is it sunny down there today, or is it raining? Are you rainy or sunny in Albury?
Always sunny.
All of you.
Oh, it's been raining a bit.
Yeah.
It's getting a bit dark now.
Yeah.
We've got some sunshine. But between now and next week, I'm going to start a project, and I will show you what I've done in the week. If we catch up in another 2 weeks, and we'll start, maybe people can put down on paper some ideas they've got and start to get into it. I shot some, John was photographing in here the other day, some portraits of a lady, and I pulled out a film camera to have a test, so I'm yet to process that roll. So there's a couple sitting over there, which will be fun. Yeah, I must say, I wish it was 20 years ago when I did have more, as I get older, I have more ideas, but I've got to get off my bum more. So I'm hoping that you guys are going to make me do that. Because I can, even though I've got millions of ideas, I can write them all down and not start them. And the most important thing is to actually do them. And the second most important thing, I have so many projects which I've never shown anyone or I've never printed. So yeah, it's good to actually get them out there. I don't know why I haven't. But I'm looking forward to Fiona, seeing where Fiona goes. And Dirk, you're going to help with Fiona backstage?
Yeah, definitely, mate, definitely. And we're going to end up having an exhibition at Turks here in the next few months of those kids' work, so they can all come in and see what they've done. And I think
so. Your next exhibition is a landscape exhibition, isn't it?
That's correct. Yep.
That's it.
Happen in a couple of weeks.
I smell prints. Oh no, it's Fred cooking. I thought I could smell the prints coming. I think the prints are happening this week. Soon. He's like me. He's got a lot on, that man. And I'm really looking forward to, is it September?
So
when I might be able to fill your gallery.
Definitely.
I'm looking very forward. On a last note, I just
some of your projects in that exhibition too, Tim.
Oh, definitely. So, I guess that's it for now. Do your stuff, peoples. Take lots of photos. Oh, I've wrecked the microphone. Take lots of photos. I've definitely missed people with Captain Corona, with the, COVID-19. It's kept me inside and away from people, but it's made me look through lots of archives and things. And that's why, in a way, the Dad Project for me is quite accessible to do at the moment, as is the Mum's Dolls. And I know Mum's Dolls is more for me than anyone else. But they mean a lot to me because they meant a lot to her. And I just thought, rather than give them to the Salvos or to the whoever else to send them overseas to some, God knows who would want them. I just thought I'll photograph them first, give them a home amongst the, give them a respect they deserve, the old dolls, and print them and make a little book as a memory for me. You know, it's so many projects there when you boil it down.
Idea.
Huh? Oh, I love it.
Lovely idea.
I know it sounds dumb and cheesy, but they just mean so much. When I look at them, you know, it just lots of memories flood back, you know, and I love that stuff. My brother's was a GP and then became a psychologist, Fiona, and my daughter works as a speech pathologist. So the stories that Christopher, my brother, tells me are incredible. And he's good at ringing me and going, you need to talk to Jim, because Jim used to love photography and you need to get him on a project. So he was down in the Southern Highlands in Mittagong, Mossvale, and I've helped two people. One lady did a great project who had some mental health issues, and she photographed a lot of other people in the area with mental health issues with masks, and she didn't really know what to do with the photos, so I helped her edit them and I printed them for her, and they hung in the the town hall, and it was, you know, it got in the local newspaper, and it just gave her such a lift that she went on to do some other projects, and she actually got a $10,000 grant to do her next one. So it's bloody awesome, you know. Yeah, just delightful. So, all right, lovely people.
Just so
I'm going to go and do some other stuff.
Yeah, cool. Just so everyone knows, we're going to do this as a regular fortnightly thing. So if you've got a project idea and you want to just go through it, I think that's the whole idea of what we're doing here. Is Tim's got.
And you're welcome to share emails or anything you want, Dirk.
We might set up some sort of a group or something so we can all sort of discuss it. And
yeah, it'd be fun. And I just reckon it'll be so good to motivate each other, to tell you the truth. It really will. It's awesome, you know, because I know that I can hear in Fiona's voice that she's really keen to record stories and get a project going. It's just the logistics of how, where and when. And that's already got me, making me feel a bit lazy. So you've motivated me. Thank you.
Sorry, Tim. It wasn't about that.
Oh, no, but that's what I want. I'm sadly, because I'm the youngest of three boys, I've got to be honest, I'm a bit competitive, which is tragic at 61 years old. But I'm not saying I want to compete against you, but you've highlighted that I need to get some stuff done too, which is awesome.
Well, we can bounce off each other.
Definitely, definitely. But I'm definitely going to look at the templates for laying out the books, because that is, I totally agree. It's a bit of a, I mean, there are the experts and they do those blurb classes. John, have you laid out many books?
Yeah, I can help.
You can help?
Yeah.
Do you want to see John? Would you like John to come and just talk books for a second there, Michael?
Yeah.
It's easy to do.
Yeah, that sounds good.
It's easy to do.
Yeah, if you've got time.
Yes. Come on. Come on. He's looking good.
I know what camera we're on. So the thing with blurb books is,
Sorry for the scratching noise.
thing with blurb books is you can upload a PDF to a blurb book. So you can actually you can lay out in any piece of software, including Word. So whatever software you can lay out in that you can output to a PDF, you can then upload to blurb. So you work out your book size, you give yourself some margins, like a bleed, and then you just lay out in even Word at the right page size, and away you go. And then you can upload a PDF to Blurb themselves. So you can actually do whatever you want. But you can start with Word, because everyone's got Word or Publisher, and away you go. It's just too easy. But if you've got any questions about that, you can flick them through to Tim, and I can help you with the Blurb stuff, because I've done quite a few books. My wife, who was watching before, she's probably she's probably gone off and done other things, but she actually published her own book.
Oh, yes.
So she's actually even more of an expert than I am.
Would
So.
it be possible maybe that she would tell us, come over one day?
Yeah, we might get her to come and talk books, because she did Humans of Newtown and she did that book. So she's, and we've got bread, fresh bread.
That's for John to take home.
But all you got to remember with Blurb, in Lightroom, the module in Lightroom, you can resize to whatever you need. And then upload straight into Blurb, and that's a really good way of doing it.
Upload straight into which one?
Into Blurb. Like Lightroom itself connects to Blurb, so you can upload your book templates direct from Lightroom into Blurb. And all the templates are there in Lightroom, but the problem with those ones is you can't edit them. But if you go to Blurb and the Blurb website, you can upload a PDF, no problem. Any PDF, as long as it fits within their page layout.
Cool. No, very good. Well done.
So do you want Tim back now?
No.
Because why are you moving the camera?
I'm just thinking.
Don't.
Fantastic.
Oh my God!
It's amazing.
He's moving the camera. Get back. Get
Don't you
back.
think John is much more handsome?
Get back in front of the camera, please.
No.
Yeah, we'll swap.
Okay. All right, everybody. Thank you very much, and thanks, Johnny, for doing your bestest and on this silly audio thing, which is driving us crazy, but we'll get to the end of it. It's Zoom. We're going pro. We're off Zoom. We might be off Zoom next time and go on to the YouTube live streaming, or maybe. We'll wait and find out. Thank you, everybody, and have a lovely Sunday afternoon.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Thanks a
you.
lot. Thank you.
And it's so, first time I couldn't see anyone's faces, and I went around and had a look and saw there was much more than I thought, because I can't see anything. All I'm doing is talking to a camera.
We've all been very quiet.
I'm a people person, and next time I'm going to have, I'm a people person, so next time I'm going to have on the wall behind the projector so I can see the faces and everything. That'd be good.
Oh,
Thank you so much, everybody.
thanks a lot.
Thanks,
Bye,
Tim.
everyone.
Arrivederci.
Thanks,
Bye.
John.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Oh,